Hello again. Welcome back. I've been asked, I should say I've been told, that it might be a good idea for me to explain some of the terms that I constantly use in my videos. So I went through in this beginning stage and made a list of some of the most common terms. I only came up with 3 of them. 3 concepts, not so much terms. So far, I'm sure there'll be more in the future, and if there are, I will record another video. But for now, I will focus on these 3. Now, the first term that you do hear a lot is when I talk about the source. Now, this isn't a new concept. If you've listened to any Buddhist teachings or even read or listened to anything from a famous writer Eckhart Tolle, he talks about this too. So do the Buddhist monks. It's a concept. Now, I call it the source because that's how I best understand it. A concept of everything. It's probably the best way I can put it. Once you get into these types of learning, you will eventually see how our physical world is an illusion. How this source energy allows us to create the physical world around us as a way to cope, as a way to understand, or maybe just a step in our journey to enlightenment. So when I say the term the source, I mean that vibrational energy that allows us to exist, allows my hands to be, my body, the desk I'm resting my arms on right now, the microphone that I'm speaking into. It all looks very solid, but these are just concepts. Now, if you look into science, the idea of atoms, how atoms look, how everything is made up of this energy, vibrating at a certain frequency, it's easy to understand how strong matter, such as this microphone, isn't actually there. As I've mentioned in previous videos, we're just starting to understand this with the law of attraction, or the secret, where you can visualize your future. There's even concepts that state that reality as you know it doesn't actually exist the way you think it does. So that if you really believe something to be true, it is true. It's how you see the world. So when I say the source, I believe it to be this surrounding energy that everything in the universe is made up of, and that we can control in our singular worlds, but as well in a group world, a group environment. More energy equals more reality. So in the sense that wars are fought, and everybody is set to ego's pain, we come up with this world and these concepts of negativity. If everyone in the world changed the way they viewed reality and made it more calm, more positive, then reality would change. When you dive really deep into this, you see this. Now, for some, that might be too much to handle. For some, even the concept of it, if they are really controlled by their ego, it can be unbearable. But I promise you that when you bring the ego's pain down, and you see the world for what it is, even though that it will be a bit of a struggle, especially at first, eventually understanding and knowing that the source is everything and what we really are to reality, is how things should be, is really a utopia. Okay, so the second term is ego's pain. Now, I just mentioned that a couple seconds ago. Ego's pain is a term that I give to the ego. Now, the concept of the ego, once again, talked by Buddhist monks, talked by Eckhart Tolle, the idea that we have this controlling entity, it's what gives us this solid reality, and in most cases, a fearful reality. The ego separates us from the world, separates us from other energy forms, and of course separates us from the source. So I say ego's pain because it is the pain that is caused to us because of what the ego thinks. Pain, disconnection, negativity, violence, these are all things that come from ego's pain. So when I say ego's pain, I say the ego, and I say egotistical world or an egotistical environment. These all surround that same concept of this controlling force that's separating us from connection and separating us from the source. So it is not a judgment in any way. I am not belittling people when I say that we live in an egotistical world. It is only a statement of belief that this controlling energy has taken over. So ego's pain is kind of the antithesis of the source. And ego's pain is what we are attempting to alleviate, hopefully get rid of. But in an egotistical society, this is impossible, because your neighbor is you. And if your neighbor lives in a negative, egotistical world, you are drawn into that on a regular basis. So the best that we can do is work with ego's pain to eventually alleviate it to the point that it doesn't control your life. And I don't know if we'll see it in our lifetime, but eventually in the future, we will reach a point where the ego and the pain that it causes will be completely eradicated from this world. And finally, I want to talk about the term visitation. I mentioned this in the third truth of the 21st Century Buddhist. Visitation is referred to in the sense of visualizing the future, and in visualizing the future and creating this picture of what you want and what you expect, you are also visiting it. So I gave the example of me in public speaking. When I was a child, I was very afraid of this. So one of the things that I could have done was visualize a positive outcome. And the stronger this positive outcome is, the more it satisfies ego's pain in stating, okay, there is nothing to fear. It's kind of already happened in my mind, so you don't need to freak out about it. So when I say visitation, I'm talking about that you're visiting a future event in your mind through a meditation or through just sitting down in a chair and closing your eyes. Either way, it all works. Visitation combined with thankfulness, positivity, and gratitude. And the more vivid you make that experience, the more ego's pain will be suppressed, and as well the better chance that this is the future you will behold when it finally happens. So visitation and visualization, kind of difficult to say, but not a difficult concept. They do go hand in hand, and it's all in relation to the third truth of visiting the future. So that's it for now. Thank you for listening.